everybody. I'm back. Yay. Eric, thank you for filling in. He's over there. Yeah, it's been a mess. If you watched yesterday's Sunday Drive, you know that we have COVID. We'll kind of get into that a little bit about the what's brewing, but mostly I'm just excited to be back. I've actually missed you guys, and I know Eric referenced it. Excuse me, a couple times. I'm gonna cough, and I'm gonna try not to. All right. So before we started, I had my cough drop, and now I have my coffee, and we're gonna talk about my beautiful mug that Eric kind of was able to reference a couple weeks ago. But yeah, it's been a bit crazy, but I'm really excited to be back. I was happy that I woke up somewhat better, feeling better, still kind of goopy, still the cough kind of happens. I kind of choke on air a little bit. But you know what? We're all that way. Our whole house is filled with it. But I am looking at some of the questions, so we're definitely going to get to those because I've missed you guys, so I want to chat with you about anything and everything. So don't forget, if you do want to put a question in there, to put the Q with the colon. That'll just help me go back and reference it a little bit. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of, hi Kennard, good morning. Thank you for being our guest last week. It was very nice. In fact, Eric showed me a picture of baby Boo this morning. Oh my gosh, I want to eat him up. Absolutely adorable. So I'm seeing already a bunch of questions. So this is really exciting. So yes, UWU, I would like to shout out. In fact, where are you? Let me put it back up here. From Mansfield, Texas. So Eric kind of stole my thunder a couple weeks ago, but that's okay. I'm so appreciative that he filled in. I think this was the week, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the week that I was traveling, that I was on my way to Virginia, although still not feeling super well, but I'd already had COVID tests. Everything was negative. I'd been to the doctor. It was negative. But my sweet friend, via this really cool world that we live in with all of this technology, UWU had sent me this. I love it. Eric did point it out the other day, but I'm actually utilizing it as my mug of the day, realtor, because Badass Miracle Worker just isn't an official job title. I love that. That made me crack up. And I have to tell you, there are some days when I definitely feel like a miracle worker, and then there are days when it doesn't go quite as easily. So, but this is my mug of the day. It does have some coffee in it. And I have to tell you, candidly, my coffee tasted really good prior to this Ricola, whatever, my my little throat lozenger. So now the mix is not so groovy. Okay, so I'm going to say a quick hello. Yes, David, Eric did do an okay job in my presence. Haha, he did a great job. You know he did. This is really his gig, just so you know. This is kind of his sweet spot. He knows all about this stuff. So he produces it. He puts it together. Thank you, Donna. I am happy to be back. Speaking of Donna, my mother's name is Donna. I don't know if she's watching or not, but I tell her, I was like, I know you're in Virginia, but every Monday morning you can have coffee with me. I know she's worried about us, our whole house again being a little icky. Hi, Jim. How are you? I know you can't wait to move to Florida, babe. I know. We want to get you guys here as soon as possible. So let me go through, a couple of questions here, I guess, just to get started, because, oh my goodness, they're like flooding in. Good morning, Gary, by the way, and Rob and Thea, and oh my gosh, just Shrina, hello. This is so exciting. Kennard, we already mentioned you, but hello again, my friend. Actually, Kennard, after this, I'm going to talk to you because I do have some clients in town and may need a little assistance because at the moment I'm still probably should not be around people. So just I'll chat with you later. Camper vanners. Aw, we were just talking about you guys the other day. Okay, so let's go over a couple of questions. So Sharon says, did that beautiful house sell? So Eric, what house is she talking about? I don't know.
It could be the one, the new listing.
So there's a couple of beautiful listings, to be quite honest. And because a lot's happening in a short amount of time, and because I have COVID brain where it feels a little foggy and I don't really know what day was what. There goes Eric hacking over there. It's contagious, like yawning. So We had a beautiful home that we can talk about now because it is on the market. That was one I think that Eric was referencing.
Can you put it up?
Beautiful. Well, I was talking about the Richmond one. The Richmond floor plan over at Hull Island by MI Homes. Absolutely beautiful home. Conservation along the back side. The front side of the home looks across to a pond with the fountain. It's diagonal across from the amenity center. Absolutely beautiful. They did some amazing things. And yes, that home is under contract. However, we do have another home that just went active this past week. And it is also beautiful. And that's the one, I'm going to put this picture up. I hope I don't mess up the system here. Ooh, did I mess it up? No, I didn't. Okay, good. All right. So this is a newest listing that we have here in the Horizon West area. This is a Madison floor plan. You'll notice it is a rear entry garage style home, but I want you to take a look at that picture of the front exterior elevation. Do you see the giant side yard that's fenced in already? This is something that's really important to note because just because you may have or you may be subject to a rear entry garage style home, again, some builders refer to them as bungalows, some refer to them as urban cottages, some of them have detached garage, some are attached, some have apartments over the garage, some have courtyards in the middle. There's a kind of whole little mix and mingle about that actual style or series home. But it does not always mean that you don't have a backyard. My daughter's home, they actually had the same very similar concept. And then this home does too, which is that it was placed on a corner home site. So a corner home site obviously is going to give you only one neighbor. They've only got one neighbor to the one side of them. And that also allows you more yard because typically speaking, there would be another house right there. So in this case, they have a nice big side yard. The lanai is tucked in the middle of the side. So it still gives you outdoor space, yard space for either kids to run around and frolic, pets to go out there. If you want to extend it, you can even add a pool out there if you want to. So this home is currently on the market. And here's what's exciting about it. Take a look at this picture right here with this built-in. So I love this, and I wish I was handy enough to do these things. I just don't trust my math on these things. But I love built-ins. I think it adds such an incredible opportunity to any home, whether and you can't really tell in this picture, but where the white built-in is, it was a recessed section of the wall upstairs in the loft area. And so it was perfectly fitted with a built-in, which gives you all sorts of style and function and flair. I love it. So obviously there's, the television is mounted, but you've got some drawers, you've got the cubby. So it's a great place for function and storage, but also for the artistic element and the decor so that you can kind of just kind of showcase some of those cool things. So that one is amazing. And then of course the picture in the bottom right just shows you an overall overview kind of the kitchen with the lighter cabinets, a beautiful gray backsplash, which is like a glass, and it's kind of it's not really a beveled edge, but it's very textured, so it just really reflects the light. It's beautiful. Anyway, so that is a beautiful home right there, and that one, it actually is still on the market. It just went on the market on Friday. Today is Monday. We could not show the home on Friday until Friday evening, excuse me, because the homeowner was getting ready to leave to go out of town. So we had a couple showings Friday late, and then we had a couple showings over the weekend too. And, we're going to talk about that a little bit too, as to what does that actually mean if a home doesn't sell within milliseconds. And that doesn't mean anything. It just means that our inventory numbers have changed a little bit. So, okay. So I'm looking at the beautiful house sell. Did we enjoy our Sunday drive? Okay. So this one, okay. So we did do a Sunday drive and we did post it, but it is not the one you were probably all hoping for, because I did go back and watch the last coffee time with Eric all the way through. I did stop in the middle, mostly because I just didn't feel well, and I just stopped and then I never picked it up. But because of whatever the tease was for the Sunday drive where he wanted me to drive, I went back and watched it. And so we have not done the big exciting one that he has assured everyone that we will do, which I'm guessing we'll do, but we didn't do it yet just because honestly we're just not 100%. And it's funny because it feels like every time we feel a little bit better and we get a little motivated to do something. And by something, I mean like yesterday, for instance, I had ordered these coffee tables. There was nesting coffee tables to go up in our media room, and they arrived while I was in Virginia. And so the big box had been sitting out in the garage. And so yesterday I was like, let me just go ahead and open up this box and take those upstairs. I waited forever for them. And honestly, just opening the box was exhausting. And it was kind of like, okay, so we do something and then we have to go kind of sit and recuperate for a little bit. A couple of other quick questions, and then we're going to go on to what's brewing. Thank you, Tony. It is nice to be back for sure. How are things in Long Island? Kim, hello. And then of course, I see Ron Sherrill. Hello, Mr. Ron Sherrill. How are you? So many fun people. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. In Wales. Okay, seriously, this is the coolest thing. So we have to go back to Wales. We have been there before. I know we've talked about that before on this, but we would like to go back because it's really beautiful. But we'll wait until we're completely 100%. Okay, so I'm going to get to some of these questions, but we're also going to get to what's brewing because otherwise, you know me, I'll just sit here and chat with you all day and probably not get to some of the important things that you wanted to get to. So let's go ahead and see what's brewing. Okay, so let's go back. So this is our what's brewing. So we have COVID, yay, rent explosion, and the home price outlook. So these are some good topics. Obviously, COVID's not so groovy, but I do want to kind of update because I think it's important for all of us to remember that COVID still exists. It is quite rampant. The more I have talked to colleagues, to other realtors, because even though I have been sick, I mean, we're still working. Obviously, I'm not out and about, but I do still have listings. I'm still monitoring showings. We're still dealing with contracts. We're still getting clients taken care of. And as I've talked to people, they're like, oh my gosh, I just had that last week, or I had that 2 weeks ago, or I had that in May, or I had that in June. And we just don't seem to talk about it as much, but it still exists. And this was actually our first time testing positive with it. If you remember a couple weeks ago, it was actually, I can tell you exactly when it was because it was July 4th. And I woke up, I did coffee time. I said I had a little bit of a sore throat. And then by that afternoon, what I thought was a little sore throat kind of knocked me out, kind of the whole flu. I just have to go to bed. I was freezing cold. I put on a sweatshirt and I put on fluffy socks and sweatpants, and I got in and I put every blanket I could find. And that was kind of the start of it, but it was COVID negative. I tested again, COVID negative. And then about a week later, because the next Monday morning is when I had to go to Virginia to help get my son moved into his Virginia home. And Sorry about that. My phone was ringing. That was the next Monday. So 1 week later, I had gone, just less than a week later, I had gone to our patient first urgent care type of a place because I felt it starting to settle in my ears. And I did not want to travel or go to Virginia with an ear infection brewing. So I went, and they also did a COVID test, also came back negative. I did get an antibiotic for my ears. Traveled to Virginia, wasn't feeling super groovy, but definitely felt okay. It was kind of like mommy brain, it's like I have to make sure that these things get taken care of. So it was all fine. My son, okay, I'm turning that ringer off. My son, he ended up not feeling super great. And the funny thing is, it's all good. It's all good. Nope, it's all his potential fan. So the funny thing was that he had, I think he said he was drinking a cherry Coke. He wanted to get a cherry Coke and it didn't taste right. And that was really his first sign that maybe he should take a COVID test. And he did, and he was positive. He was pretty quickly positive. And I was like, oh no. So, and at this point, Eric had joined me out in Virginia. It's just been a lot going on. So it's kind of no wonder that our body and our immune systems were a little bit compromised anyway, just from everything that was going on. But the funny thing is that all of that said I was COVID negative. Then my son becomes COVID positive, and then we come back to Florida, and then boom, we're sick again. And I'm COVID positive, and he's COVID positive, and my daughter, and then my other daughter. Again, my son in Virginia was positive. My son-in-law has yet to be positive, and we're amazed if he can get out of this unscathed. My youngest has been in Miami this past weekend for a concert, like a music event. And prior to that, it would have broken my heart if he had been sick. So while we were all kind of in the throes of COVID, we had him go stay with friends. So he really wasn't home, so he could kind of stay away from it and hopefully not expose him to it so that he could remain well. And he should be coming back today. So anyway, so COVID week, no fun, no bueno. Make sure you still mask up. And I do think that's part of it. You know, we masked on the plane. I Lysol wiped everything down. I still hand sanitize, you know, but the woman sitting next to my son on the plane wasn't. And, you know, what do you do if you're trying to do your part and not everyone else is? Sometimes it makes it a little bit difficult. But anyway, we are feeling hopefully on the mend. We hopefully have the worst of it behind us, still dealing with the goop, but I will take the goop over the body aches any day. All right, so now let's talk about the rent explosion. So this is kind of sad, and Eric has done some really good graphics, so I'm going to put those up. So a couple of things, you know, the rent here, and you've heard this everywhere, but rent is definitely escalating. It is up this year about 27%, which is huge. So people who used to be paying a certain amount on a monthly basis for their rent, it has increased dramatically.
Orlando's number one in the country.
Okay, Eric says Orlando is number one in the country.
In a bad way.
In a bad way. Yes, that's not that we're not happy about that one. But that I'm seeing it everywhere. You know, there are so many people who are looking to rent temporarily. Let's just say, for instance, that they are under contract for new construction. New construction is wreaking havoc on people's timelines, their ability to make any definitive plans. And candidly, it's affecting their financial situation because of the uncertainty of being able to lock in on rates and things like that. So there are a lot of people who are renting or who have needed to rent for a period of time, whether it's in a short-term rental, which is already, by the way, typically a bit more expensive. Now, I always tell people, so for instance, let's just say you sold your home wherever you live and you are moving here to Florida and you need a place to stay for 1 month. Not 2 months, not 10 months. You just need 1 month. You just need that overlap of when your new home is going to be completed and ready, and you know, and not having a home because you sold your other one already. If you are looking for a 1 month rental, my suggestion is to find, you know, we do live here in this wonderful place with all these parks and all of these short-term rentals. My suggestion to my clients is to try to find a fully furnished short-term vacation rental. It is going to be expensive. However, you move once, you don't have to unpack all that mess. You don't have to repack all that mess. And it's for 1 month. So just give yourself a little journey, a little experience for a month and try to find a short-term vacation rental. And yeah, it's probably going to hurt the pocketbook a little bit, but 1 month is probably more manageable than some of these other people who are trying to rent for 6, 8, 10, 12 months. You may not have the opportunity then at that point to find something that's really going to be financially cost effective for you. And that's a little bit of a challenge. Now, the same percentage, that same 27% that our rent has increased, so has the property values. So we've had a really big increase in how much your homes have appreciated, you know, over the year as well. My biggest concern is, what about the people who are not in a position, like they've been renting and now they haven't really gotten themselves in a position to buy? Because now we're going to hit that part. So I'm going to go to this next one. I think I can go to the next one. Did I go to the next one? Yes. I don't know. Eric, did I hit the wrong one? I don't know. Anyway, Eric's over there, so I have to keep yelling to him. Nothing. I don't need anything. I don't know. I'm hitting your little buttons that you gave me. So this is actually the home sales. Oh, there's Lucy. So where are you going?
No, I'm starting at the beginning where I should.
Oh, okay, that's where I should have been. Sorry. So this is a question too, and all of this is kind of relative with the rent increases, with the property increasing, and with the ability or inability then to be able to move forward on a home, and a lot of people's wishful thinking that prices are falling. So this is not true. And again, I'm not going to speak to the country. I'm going to speak to our area. This is not what we're seeing. Are prices being reduced? Yes. Do I have and is this on every property? Absolutely not. New construction is not reducing their prices. That is not happening. What they are doing to offset the new time that we find ourselves in, where the inventory numbers have changed, where interest rates are increasing, where construction delays and material issues are wreaking havoc on them left and right and up and down. What they are now doing to compensate is there are some builders who are more nationally, globally kind of owned and traded, and they have their own financing department, their own mortgage company built within that same corporate umbrella. So some of them are able to get you locked in at a specific rate because they have the ability to do that. Some of them are increasing their incentives. There's lots of different things that are going on from the builder's perspective. But what's not happening is they're not reducing the prices. The prices aren't coming down. Now, resale. If it was priced incorrectly, and by the way, I've got one of these right now. We just lowered the price. Candidly, I told my client where it should have been priced to begin with. And that particular client lives out of state, and they really wanted it to be a little bit higher. And I said, okay, well, we can list it a little bit higher, but just so you know, I do believe we're going to have an appraisal issue. So as long as I'm doing my due diligence and advising them, because that is my job, if they decide to go a little bit higher, I'm willing to explore it with them. But, I know that we're just wasting time and potentially buyers in a market where we don't really want to waste that time. So we did end up lowering the price. Excuse me. We did end up lowering the price. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as we lowered the price, we immediately started getting showings, and we actually are expecting an offer to come in this morning. So I'm going to cross my fingers on that one. So, anyway, so prices are not falling, at least not as of now. So if you look at this little graphic, it says home prices are projected to rise by an average of 9% this year, thanks to the continued low housing supply and the high buyer demand. So again, everything is about that supply and demand, right? We still have people that want to move or have to move. And I always think that that's important because, sometimes we get lost in the fact that people are moving, and we think that everyone just wants to. And that's not always the case. There are people who actually have to move. And so when we freak people out, I just feel like that's unnecessary. We don't want to freak people out. We will be able to find something somewhere. We just have to, it's a new train we're on. So we may have to adjust what we're looking for or where we're looking for it. But it can still be done. So yeah, so we have the prices are falling. So we'll skip past that one. And then, this is another graphic that Eric did based on the current estimate for peak Fed funds rate, 3.25% to 4%. 4%, the 30-year fixed mortgage will likely peak between 5 and 5.7. So if things can stay, at or below the 6%, that would be fantastic. I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen, but that's kind of where we are at the moment. All right. And then, and then basically going back to what the market is doing. And this is nationally. This is not just Orlando based, but all signs still point toward a very strong economic market when it comes to residential real estate. So again, home sales are expected to perform well this year and people continue moving to meet their changing needs. And that's true. Remember, some people can work from anywhere. Some people want to move. And again, some people have to move. Not everyone has the luxury of being able to work from a home office. There are people who have to physically be in these, brick and mortar buildings that do still exist. So anyway, so there is kind of a little update on that. So if we go back to the, to the rent explosion and the home price outlook, we're going to talk a little bit about what does that mean? Like, let's say if you're renting and you see now that interest rates are going up, it's costing more for you to get a down payment on potentially new construction homes, things like that. How do you then break through it? And I bet like all of you right now, if you are one of these people, and I'm going to raise my hand because Eric and I definitely were, in the very beginning, we could afford our rent. We had a teeny, tiny, little tiny, like it was so tiny. Our first little apartment when we first got married, we could afford the rent, barely, but we could afford the rent. What we couldn't afford was the ability. So let's just translate that to a mortgage payment, right? We could have afforded the mortgage payment, but what we couldn't afford was the initial down payment to get into it. That's us. That's almost everybody. We all need help. And in our case, we had the beautiful blessing of, excuse me, of my grandmother, who had set aside a little bit of money for each of the grandchildren to help set them on their way. And without that gift, we would never have been able to, I won't say never, but it certainly would not have happened. And as you know, once you own a home, it gives you the ability to own the next home and the next home, assuming, everything continues to go well. That's a great trajectory to be on. And that would only have happened when my grandmother started us on that journey. So now let's talk about you, or maybe your children, or maybe you and your significant other, or your best friend. So you don't have to buy a home as an individual, and you don't have to buy a home as a married couple. You can buy a home as friends. I'm not saying that I advise everyone to go into these, to these things, haphazardly or without a lot of thought. But if you pool your resources in a time where everything else is making it a bit more difficult for you to start and to get your foot in the door, literally, of home ownership, then perhaps we can think of it. So there are other ways. So maybe it's, maybe you can, again, pool your resources. Maybe you and your coworker, maybe you're already renting together. Well, maybe you find a way to purchase something together. And then that way you're not throwing the money away every single month in rent. You're at least going towards something that's going to hopefully benefit you later. And I'm not saying that everyone has the ability to do that. Another thing to consider is family. Not everybody has the ability or the luxury of having a family member that has funds with which they can share or gift, but they might. And again, the month-to-month payment was not the problem. The problem was the ability to get in. And that's always the hard part for any of us. I mean, nobody just starts out with gazillions of dollars. I mean, not people that I know. And so I think that, again, when my grandmother assisted us on the first home, and then when we went into building our second home, which was really, our first home was a townhome, and that's where our older two children were brought home from the hospital. And then on my daughter's first birthday was the day that we closed on our actual family home, our home, our what we call our Virginia home. That one, Eric's parents assisted us with that. And I'll never forget them talking to us, because Eric and I were planning on doing all of that on our own. We had our townhome. We were able to profit a little bit off of that. We were going to use that as a down payment. And I remember us talking about where we could afford, what we could afford to purchase. And I remember his dad and his mom saying, here's the thing. We would like to help you because this money will be willed to you anyway. And again, please understand, I know that not everybody's situation is the same. So I'm fully aware of that. But their point was, we want to see our grandchildren grow up in an area with great schools. We'd like them to be close to us. Because that was the problem. Where we were looking, we couldn't really afford to be where we wanted to be. So we were going to have to scoot out a little bit further and maybe downgrade the home quality a little bit to get what we could afford. And it was in that conversation that they said, we would like to do this to help get you into a home that is near us. And we would love to see you enjoy that now. And then really the only requirement is that we try to do the same thing for our children. And that is exactly what we're doing. And there are days when I'm so grateful and so thankful, because that's exactly what has allowed, 3 of our 4 children at this point to start their journey and have a nice safe roof over their head. So anyway, point is, I digress. There are other ways. There are also down payment assisted programs. So when you get to that point, if you are sitting in the moment of just turmoil going, I don't know what I can do. I don't know how I'm going to get out from under the rent, because rent has gone up on me so much. I'm never going to be able to save anything because I can barely afford the rent as it is. And I know I could afford it if it was a mortgage payment, that I don't have a way to kind of backtrack and get that lump sum of money, there are ways. So we can chat about that. So you can text me and call me. Yes, sir?
I was just checking your question thing to see if you
Yes, I'm
type
getting
in
ready to
Q.
look at questions. Huh?
Just don't forget to type in Q.
I'm not going to type in Q. I mean, I'm not going to forget. Okay. So Eric came in. So that means Amy shut up and go to questions. That's it. He's following up on me. Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to look at some questions. Okay. So let's go here. So Donna, are slab inspections worth the money? Do I recommend them? Okay. So here's the thing. Your home, and again, if it's slab, we are definitely talking then new construction. So every new construction home, to my understanding, is inspected probably over 30 times throughout the construction process. And that means prior to even the slab going down, there's grading that has been done and there's inspections that have been done on the grading. So before they even pour that slab or that foundation, there's already been inspections going on. And I will tell you that they do inspect it because I have had clients from Texas, Christy, you know who you are, when they were building, it took forever and a day to get started. This has been years ago, pre-pandemic, pre-building material issues. I went out one day, finally saw that their foundation had been poured, started snapping pictures, got so excited, sending them their updates, went back a couple days later, fully expecting to see the concrete block first floor done. And when I went back a couple days later, it was gone. And I literally stood there like I was in the Twilight Zone going, I know this is the right lot number, right? I'm looking, I couldn't find it. I'm like, I'm on the right street. This is the right home site. There was foundation here yesterday. And now it was in a big pile of rubble in the back corner of the home site because it failed inspection. So those are going to be inspected regardless of whether or not you choose to have a third-party inspector do that. There are some inspectors that do not do that. So you would definitely have to look and basically you're looking for a slab, a pre-drywall, and a final if you want to do the kind of the three main pieces of it. But it's completely up to you. I will never advise you to do or not to do an inspection. You need to do that kind of your own free will. I will tell you, however, it will be inspected regardless. Builders do have the warranties with it. And obviously the foundation is huge. So that's going to be thoroughly inspected. And the other thing too is just to remember that anytime you do a third-party inspection, you do need to coordinate that with the builder. You cannot just have an inspector show up to the job site and do the inspection. You have to coordinate that with them because there is paperwork, documentation, license, bonding, insured. All of those criteria have to be met in coordination with the builder, and they'll be happy to take care of you, but you can't just hire them on your own. So great question, though. I like that. Rob says, how is the heat down here? Well, it's hot, my friend. It is very hot. However, it was actually hotter when we were in Virginia than it was in Florida. So another reason I like Virginia so much, you do get the 4 seasons. And that was pretty funny because I was looking back here at what the weather was in Florida, and it was definitely hotter and more humid in Virginia at the time. I don't know what the temperature is right now, to be honest, because I haven't been outside yet today, but I'll find out. But it's hot, my friend. It's hot. Kelly, it seems a number of the builders are offering incentives on new construction. Are you seeing price negotiation decreased on resale homes? Okay, that's a good question. So yes, to some extent. It honestly, it depends on the flexibility of the buyer. So if you have complete flexibility, you have a place to stay, you're not contingent to sell your existing home. If the builder tells you it's going to be 6 months to build and it ends up being 16 months, are you still okay with that? Because that is a realistic thing, could happen. Do you have the ability financially to not be concerned about increased interest rates, things like that? Then excuse me, the new construction is still a good option. Now, because the builders are increasing those incentives, like we just talked about, so yes, they are giving more, some builders refer to it as flex cash. So flex cash basically is a lump sum of money. Let's just say it's $20,000 because that's not unheard of at the moment. They're going to give you $20,000 flex cash, and you can utilize that however you want. You can take 10 of that and put that 10 towards your closing cost contribution and take the other 10 and add it to your design center incentive. If you don't have a design center appointment because it's a package design deal, maybe you take that 10,000, the other 10,000 maybe off the lot premium or maybe off the final purchase price. So basically, here's $20,000. How do you want to allocate that to better serve you financially? Some people are like, all toward the design center, woohoo. And then some people are like, all toward the closing costs so that I can come to the table without it. So flex cash is one thing. Because of that, so yes, in answer to your question about resale homes, if you have, I mean, keep in mind, resale means it's ready now. So you're going to close and live in it in probably 30 days. New construction still probably has a bit of a time delay on it. Very few true new construction homes are ready for you to move into right now. So there's still going to be a month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus that you have to wait. So you're probably kind of talking about two different things. But yes, if there is a resale home and there is new construction near it, for sure. Like for instance, I told my client, I was like, here's the thing. You've wanted to list your price at this, but if I had a client, I would also be showing them this over here at this new construction community where they're going to be getting more square footage. They're going to be getting a locked in interest rate that's lower than what it is now, even if you could lock in now. And candidly, there's some additional incentives over there. So yes, I think from the resale perspective, you do need to have that conversation with your realtor and find out, okay, well, what's happening in the new construction area that is my competition, because you're going to need to adjust. And by the way, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to talk about realtor commissions too, because that matters. Doesn't matter to me. Eric has told you a lot that I love the people. He pays attention to the numbers. He has the spreadsheets. But realtors are a dime a dozen. And builders are very fickle. Sometimes they like us and love us, and sometimes they could care less about us because they think they don't need us. And then the market changes, and then they're like, oh crap, you know what? We really could use that Heart and Home Orlando video tours. And so commission structure is going to change. Now remember, a realtor's commission structure when it comes to new construction is done out of a marketing fund. It's not going to affect the price that you get for your home, no matter what the realtor's commission is. So just make sure you understand that. And that's true. That is absolutely true. But let's just say there was someone out there who was quite greedy and they're paying attention to the numbers and they're looking at a resale home, and the resale home has a commission of, I don't know, let's just say 2%. Okay. Which by the way is still generous, right? Not complaining. Let's say that there's a 2% commission on a resale home, but maybe that realtor hasn't sold that many homes, and they also are feeling the pinch of all of this. And they also know that over here at this community, that builder is now paying 4% commission because they've increased their incentives and they're trying to help get everything regenerated over there and rejuvenated in the community. So you may have some realtors out there that are going, well, you know, I'd rather go show you that one because it's like 4% for me. And that's not cool. That's not right. That's not fair, but it does happen. And the reason I mention it is more so to set your expectation. If you have a resale home or a home that you are looking to sell, because at this point, when I go back to my upcoming resales, we're going to have to go back higher for a commission structure for that buyer agent, because we need to be competitive, not comparable. We need to be competitive. So we need to make sure that we are giving them that motivation to continue to show the properties. So just throwing that out there. Okay. So let me hide that one and let's go over here. J Rowe, can I say hello to my mother, Marie? She's a big fan of Amy and Eric. Yes, of course. Hi, Marie. How are you? This is actually one of my most favorite things. So I had they weren't clients. They're just like YouTube kind of friends. And somebody had asked if I believe it was a birthday message. And so we actually went all out. We did a bogus video tour. Like I started a video tour and then I stopped it. And then I started talking to them and said, happy birthday. And at the same time, we had sent them a little care package or gift package from Heart and Home Orlando. That was obviously never aired out there publicly. That was just a private link for them. So those are fun. That makes me feel really happy and very connected to everyone. So Marie, big hug to you, my friend. Love everywhere you guys are. And that's funny, Amy and Eric show. We have a show, honey. Yay. It's the Amy and Eric show. Yay. Thank you for that. That's very sweet. Anytime. I love you guys. This is awesome. All right. Susie Q. Hey, Susie. How are you? Do I see some of the insane lot premiums builders are charging coming down? Ha ha. Ha ha. No. Yes, actually a little bit. And here's the reason. Lot premium is of the numbers, of the finances with new construction. Base price is base price. They're not going to change that. You cannot go into the builder and say, I know that your Alcott floor plan has a base price of like, 452, 990, but I'm a really nice person. So I would like to offer you base price on your home at, 422, 990. That doesn't happen. So the base price does not change. These structural options on your home, those are not going to change. The design center option pricing does not change. That has to stay consistent throughout the process for every person that is purchasing a home. However, what they can change and what they can alter the incentives on is that lot premium. So you might see, hey, this month the incentive is half off lot premiums. Okay, well, it was still already way overpriced to begin with, but thank you for going half price on it. So yes, we are seeing that. We're seeing some discounts in the lot premiums. And again, going back to the incentives, the flex cash, we are seeing the ability for some of the builders to give you the flex cash, and you can use some of that those funds toward a price reduction on the lot premium if you like. It's a very good question. But yeah, those lot premiums, they're so arbitrary and they're so inconsistent. And I think to me, that is the biggest, most frustrating thing. You can, if you want the exterior elevation that has a rear balcony on the home, okay, well, that makes sense, right? Because you have the roof line is adjusted. There's going to be some actual construction elements that is going to affect that pricing. And yes, there are some home sites that are going to be truly premium home sites. Maybe it's extra deep. Maybe it backs up to water, or it backs up to pond, or it has no one across the street from it, or maybe it's a little extra pie shaped and so it's a little bit larger, a little bit wider. Who knows? Those are premium lots and those can have a number associated with it. It's very arbitrary. It's whatever really the builder decides to put on it. Obviously, it costs them something. And so they're going to try to make sure that, they also paid a premium, but they're not paying a premium on that specific home site. They're buying the whole land, all of those parcels, right? All right. Let me see. More questions. Okay, so here we are. Serena, hey. With prices rates increasing and on the high end, is there any information on the household income amount? Ooh, to afford the winter garden area and live comfortably, pay mortgage bills, and be able to enjoy? That's a really good question. Hey, Eric, you might be able to do some math in your head, but while he's doing math in his head on that question, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about overall pricing because I think this will assist you as well. Excuse me. And I really need to sorry. I take a sip of my coffee. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So in Winter Garden, in the Horizon West area, or just Winter Garden in general, this is one thing I can tell you, and this will help you determine kind of, can you afford it, or what can you afford? You can afford it, but maybe it's not the home you thought you could afford. So in this area, townhouses. So a townhouse, typical townhouse, connected walls. A townhome is, at this point, it is in the 4 to mid 5s, and I actually have one that's even over that at the moment. So definitely the 4 to mid 5 range for townhouses. Yes, you heard me correctly, townhouses. A rear entry garage style home, kind of like we referenced earlier, and there's all sorts of square footage. There are smaller 1,700 square foot rear entry garage style homes, and then there are larger 2,600 square foot 2-story rear entry garage style homes. That series home in this area is going to start in the high 5s and it's going to go to the mid 6s. You might be able to find one in the mid 5s if it's a little bit less square footage, but chances are you're going to be in the high 5s to mid 6s at this point for a rear entry garage style home. And if that is what it costs for a rear entry, now when you think about a more traditional front load garage style home, whether it's a bit more modest in the square footage at 2,000 or under, or whether it's a little bit larger 1-story floor plan, or even a 2-story, you definitely need to be in the mid 6s and up. And I say up, and that does mean up, like million, 2 million. Like they can go all the way that high. Not all of them. But I would say that on average, if you can be in the 900 or let's just say the 650 to 925 range, you're going to be in the pocket here for a nice size home. And
$500,000 home, 20% down. You're talking about a $3,000 a month payment these days in Winter Garden.
did you hear that?
No.
Well, you have to say it again.
What did I say?
So a $500,000 home
Yep.
with 20% down, $3,000 a month mortgage payment.
Right. So it depends what your debt is.
Yeah.
And all that.
So So of course your financial situation is going to be different. What's your debt to income ratio? Sorry, my shirt keeps falling. Okay. So it's going to depend on what your financial situation is. What is your salary? Are you commission based? Are you? And you know what's interesting is that there's a lot of different job titles where they do have additional supplemental income, and some lenders include it and some lenders won't, and that can wreak havoc too for people who are looking. I just had some clients that they were a bit worried that they were not going to have their specific additional funds income included, and thankfully it was, and so we were good to go. But if not, that was going to affect the overall price point.
And that's with taxes and insurance too. That's right.
And Eric says that is with taxes and insurance too. Thank you, dear. Okay, so let's go to Marcia. We are still struggling with a new versus resale and a primary bedroom on the first floor versus second. Please give us advice to help us move forward. Many thanks. Okay, this is a really good question. So I'm so sorry. All right. Hey, Eric. I'm sorry. Could you bring me a little glass of water? Coffee's good, but it doesn't help. Okay. So first of all, having that primary bedroom on the first floor is really going to be a personal decision. There are a lot of people who have to have it, either for age or just mobility issues. And there are some people who it doesn't matter. They're still young whippersnappers. And so they can go up and down the stairs all day long and it's not a problem. Here's the thing to consider though. If you are looking for a 2-story home in general, it is a little more difficult to find the primary bedroom on the first floor. Thank you. And here's the reason. The reason is because the footprint of your home, no matter how big or how small, the footprint of your first floor is going to include your garage. So if you have a 2-car garage, on average, that's about 20 by 20, right? 20 feet by 20 feet, just generally speaking, that's an average. So 20 feet by 20 feet of your first floor footprint is going to be the garage space. Now you're still going to have your kitchen, and I'm sure you're going to want a nice kitchen, and you're still going to have, your dining area, and I don't necessarily mean a formal dining room, but your dinette or your day-to-day or your semi-formal dining, as I call it. You're still going to have that space, and you're still going to have your family room space, and you're still going to have either a powder bath or a full bath. Now let's say, do you need an office? So if you start to think about the rooms that you might be required to have on the first floor, you're starting to eat into that. And obviously a primary bedroom, that owner's suite, is going to be larger than just a small 11 by 11 guest bedroom, right? So you just have to kind of think about that. So if you don't have mobility issues, if there aren't any challenges, if you're trying to make this your forever home and you're thinking, well, look, I don't need the master or that primary bedroom on the first floor yet, but I will need it later. Okay, well then maybe we look for that, because they do exist. Certainly they exist. But if you're like, well, no, this is only a 3 to 5 year home for me anyway, and that's fine to have the upstairs, then do that, because you'll have more flexibility with options. But the key is, if you're looking and you think that you need to have that primary on the first floor, it's almost my opinion to focus on 1-story floor plans that may have a bonus room option. And there are a lot of them. The Richmond that we just talked about, the Richmond that I have under contract now over in Hull Island, is a 1-bedroom or a 1-floor home with bonus room options. Dreamfinders has beautiful floor plans. The Anna Maria, the Tidewater, the Avalon, the Arlington. All of those floor plans are primarily 1 floor, 1 stories. So you have multiple bedrooms, you have a nice large footprint, and then you have the ability to add that bonus room upstairs. So there's a lot of floor plans that give you that extra space. But I mean, the reality is it's gonna just boil down to what is your particular situation. And sometimes if you're completely flexible on that, then don't let that be a disqualifier for anything, because we're going to want you to have as many options as possible that you can look at. Okay, so let's see this one. I watched the Hawksmoor tour and also saw some pics. What is that empty lot across the street? Looks like another home will go there. I'm not sure, Sharon.
The gap between the 2 houses in front.
The gap between where?
Never out of Laura's house. Like you can see it across the street.
Yes. Okay, so all right, that's a very good question. So if you saw the video tour of that, so her home, that home across the street, those homes actually back up to a tree farm and to like a walking trail, and there is an extra easement. So no home is going to go there. That's just additional space, which is a way for utilities, lawn maintenance, for them to be able to access to get back so that they can do the maintenance on those like walking trails and the conservation and everything that's back there. So it won't be another house. It's just extra space. Remember, this community is closed out at this point. Hawksmoor is closed out. So that's just extra space, which is nice because it gives you a little extra visual again. I can see why you would think they would slap another house in there, but no, not in this case. We won't. All right, I'm going to do another quick, see if any other questions happen to come up. I don't think I saw any, but I'm going to go back to my main thing. Okay, so a couple other quick things. So I just want to say hi to Tony. Is there anything else? Any other questions? Let me know if there were. I'm looking. Oh, okay. I just did it.
I know.
He's going to fix it for me.
There.
Lovely. Hey, lovely. Do you know if the design studio can install heating, floors, and bathrooms? I don't think so. Those, all of those types of things are going to affect your electrical blueprints. And so unless the design companies offer them as an option, and I've never had a design center or a builder offer that. Custom builders, 100%. Yeah, of course. But just these production builders, which are the majority of the builders out here, D.R. Horton, Mattamy, Meritage, Taylor Morrison, K. Hovnanian, those are all more of your production builders. And so that's not something that, plus remember that here, the heated floors, if you're up north, I'm sure that's amazing. Here, everything's already hot anyway. So probably don't want that. Okay.
Do that one, just goes fine.
Which one? Tony?
Yeah.
Tony. I want to thank you for helping my brother Billy in securing his new home in Central Florida recently. Aw. He'll be closing next month on his forever home. That's yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. I actually can't believe that it's happening that fast. It's and you know, Kevin actually is in a different line of work now, so I'm a little bit sad that our site agent that was helping us over there is not there. But the good news is that I still get to work with him, just in a different avenue, still real estate related. But yes, that is very exciting. And by the way, so just so you know, this is really important. I always say we're not done. One thing that is important to know is that when you are under construction, there are some builders that do a great job of communicating with the realtor involved. And then there are other builders that not so much. They communicate greatly, wonderfully with the client. So when there are those momentous occasions, the pre-drywall walkthroughs, the new homeowner orientations, it really is important, whether you're my client or whether you're somebody else's. But it's important, especially if you're mine. I would rather be notified twice, 3, 4 times that you have an upcoming new homeowner orientation rather than missing it because no one told me and you went and you did it on your own. That's part of the fun for me too, is to be there for you. And if I cannot be there with you physically, because let's say maybe I'm out of town, maybe I have COVID, I still want to tell you what to expect. I want to give you an understanding of what that pre-drywall walkthrough is going to feel like, the whole point of it, to de-stress you, to set that expectation for you. And then when it comes to the final new homeowner orientations, it's always great to be there because it's fun. That's the fun part for me, right? And yes, I remember that, and I'm super excited. I can't believe they're getting ready to close next month, though. So things have flown by. I know probably not so much when you're the one building it. Probably feels like it's taking forever and ever and ever, but I promise it still feels like it's going pretty quickly for the rest of us. That's awesome. Love and hugs to you guys. It makes me super happy. Any other questions? Let me see. Oh, more. Okay. All right, let's see. How are custom builders dealing with supply issues, not having the same purchase volumes? We were looking at Arthur Ruttenberg, Montesino, but have premiums on custom builds. It's crazy. Yeah. Well, so keep in mind, A lot of the suppliers are the same. Some of them are different. Every custom builder is going to do things a little bit differently. Their whole payment structure is going to be completely different as well. So you'll be paying incrementally with new construct or with custom builds as well. But like so, for instance, here's an example. There is, and I think I mentioned this on the Sunday drive. This is new information. So we've talked before about building material issues. Well, some of these building materials are universal. Like everyone needs to have an HVAC unit. Everyone needs to have that air conditioning company. And there is a huge, very, very, very large company out here that was working with the majority of the builders. And that particular company did both residential and commercial. That particular company has said, you know what, Ixnay on the residential, we're going to shut that part of our division down. And we're just going to focus on the commercial. So that, in addition to everything else that the builders are dealing with, residential builders are dealing with, now they are having an issue not just with smaller pieces of HVAC units, but now actual companies. And depending on who the custom builder uses to do their HVAC installation or who their electricians are, there's still trades. It's not, Arthur Ruttenberg himself is not the one hammering. And in fact, sometimes those are now franchised out. And I did learn that because I had some clients that wanted to build with Arthur Ruttenberg. And I met my clients out there. And that particular builder said, hey, Amy, just so you know, we don't work with realtors. So you're building a custom home with a builder that you've gone to by name recognition. It seems to be a bit more franchised now. And you're not going to get the same response from one Arthur Ruttenberg or insert name here, custom builder that you might think, because it could be a little bit different. That was a shocker to me because that was very disappointing because I love that builder. The floor plans are amazing and just high level of expectation there. And that really dumped my expectation, to be quite honest, because you're expecting someone to build $1 million custom home and not have a realtor there, but whatever. So anyway, but back to your question. Yes, everything is crazy. And whether you're a custom builder or not, sometimes candidly, it's easier for the bigger builders that are more production builders to get the materials. For instance, Waterley with DR Horton, they're having a much easier time getting some of the building materials because they are such a large builder and they have such a large quantity. The community is massive. It's amazing. It's big. And and the other thing is that they retain their trades. So, in a time where the builder is giving them the work, they're showing up, they're getting paid on time, things are rolling right along, that builder might actually have a better time at getting some of the building materials than a custom builder because maybe they aren't ordering in the same quantities. But anyway, that's a good question. I like that one. All right, let's see. Any other questions? Dale Simmons, Christopher Burton builds in the Tallahassee area. I don't know. I can check on that for you. Again, yes, sir.
They will if you're building a huge house.
Oh, well, yeah, but no. So one of the things to remember with custom builders as well, also love Christopher Burton. They were so generous and had invited me to go over to Melbourne, to Adelaide and to feature some of their homes. Super impressed. Love. And I did actually ask the question because I knew as soon as we posted some of those videos that people would be asking where they could build that home here in Orlando. And typically the response that we get, and this is not just Christopher Burton, but this could be pretty much any custom builder. If they are not already building, let's just say a custom community in your area, or maybe it's a community where there's a bunch of different home sites that are owned by different custom builders. If they don't already have that, will they come to you to build? Yes. Are they going to come build for a $500,000 home? No. If you're building a massive multi-million-dollar home, then it will probably be more cost effective and financially feasible for that custom builder to get their equipment and their crews out there. But if they have to drive 3 hours to build your home and it's not financially beneficial for them, then they're probably not going to do it. But And that was actually what the custom builders told me. So does it mean no? No, it doesn't mean no. It just means, first of all, if they're not already building in your area, you're going to have to be building a pretty impressive house for them to make it worth their while. All right. Okay. So, oh my God. All right. So Kim, we are interested in Del Webb Oasis. Can you give me any info on it? Yes, I can. And in fact, I had requested lovely, lovely, lovely soon to be new mama named Elizabeth. She works for the builder out there. I have a couple of contracts with her already. And I actually asked her to be a guest on Coffee Time. They do have some corporate red tape that they have to go through in order for anyone to speak outside of their own corporate venue about something. So we'll see how that plays out. But yes, I can tell you, having several clients that are already contracted there, the news is getting better. So in the Del Webb Oasis, they actually are starting to pour foundation for, I think, the first 11 home sites. And that is very encouraging. There was a water main break. There was some issues out there. The stories kind of come and go as to what exactly is happening. There are the county required that they dig up some sections of road. Some of it warranted, yes, some of it no, just kind of frustration. I will tell you, Orange County is good and difficult, and being difficult is good, and because that's really protecting you as the consumer. It's a pain in the butt for the builders, but it's good for you because they just want to make sure that everything is ready and that they don't have these larger issues later. I'd much rather have a delay at the beginning of the process than to have you move into your beautiful home and then have water issues. But yeah, so I believe that at this point, Del Webb Oasis has water. That is no longer affecting them. They are ready to start moving forward on some of these homes that have already been contracted on, and they should be pouring foundation pretty soon. That's pretty much the update on that one. But yeah, they've definitely got some availability. It's going to be beautiful. Call me. All right, let's see. Anything else? I don't think so. So with that, I will probably bid you adieu. All right, so I think I made it. I didn't cough that much. I'm kind of happy that I didn't hack out my lungs in front of everyone.
Lucy's been very good.
And Lucy's been very good. Our dog has been sitting over here the whole time. So okay. Eric really wants me to show all these fancy things. There's Lucy. Okay. There she is.
Fun.
She's but now how do I go back to where I was? Snap cam. There we go. Yay, there it is. All right, guys. So I hope this wasn't too boring. But I am excited that I am back. I feel a little bit better. I have no doubt that next week I'll be even better, and that we can put this whole COVID mess behind us. Keeping in mind, it's not going to be behind any of us. We do still need to take care of ourselves and take care of one another. I think that's one of my most important things is that there she is. See, you jinxed it. Lucy. One of the most important things is that everyone understands that that we really do care about you. It's not silly. We're not lying. That's why I do what we do. That's why I started doing what I do, was not about anything other than finding a way to make the process better, and to, especially for those of us who have built new construction homes and you feel a little bit more disconnected. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Are there people that have probably been disappointed? Maybe. I sure hope not, but I'm sure somebody probably. But, that always leads back to, that communication has to go both ways. So if you are working with me, or if you are working with another realtor, if you're in another state and you're just watching because you want to dream of Florida, it's important to keep that communication open with your realtor too. We're not mind readers. And for those of us who are gratefully, thankfully busy, we are never too busy. Never, ever, ever too busy. So you just have to let us know what it is that you need. If you are hearing from the builder and you are unsure, and by the way, I have this all the time. Clients are calling. I just heard from so-and-so. This is a problem. Can we do this? I think I have to cancel the contract. We go through all of that and we have those conversations and we get, we get some resolution that way, even if it's just having that conversation. So make sure you communicate with your realtor so that your realtor can communicate with you as well. And other than that, don't forget to give me a call, 407-848-8042. More than anything, thank you guys for watching. I'm glad to be back. Can't wait to see you guys next week. I'm looking forward to see what my new mug of the day will be because candidly, I think I have to go do some dishes and some laundry to find some things to wear. So that's a wrap, guys. Remember, as always, please stay safe, stay well, mask up, my friends, hand sanitize. Mask it up. Mask it up. All right, guys, we love you. Happy house hunting.